Okay, I've had a rough day. Thank you for everyone who sent me like a text message or a PM or who was just checking up on me on my status. I am all right. What happened was is that I got into an argument with someone that it prompted me, and it was really a couple of spirits. They've been helping me out, a whole bunch of them, but obviously Tiamat's at the forefront, and what happened was is that this argument prompted me to really be brutally honest with myself about what do I truly want. Um, it was like shoving my true will and true destiny into my face. Now, I have a certain view on the HGA and like the higher self and all of that. I do not have a traditional point of view on it. I have to make a video on that another time. But essentially what happened was is that I got so fed up with not being aligned with my true will that all I knew I wanted to do was run away with Tiamat. And I learned what my true will was, like in actual words and terms and physical stuff. I'm not going to go into that. The specifics are very personal. This is the second time I had to do this video because I think I revealed too much. So what happened was is that, and I've noticed, essentially, Kingu and Kukulkan were very much integrated into me. They were not like external. They were very much internal. It was Tiamat that was external. So what happened was is that I had the most intense astral travel experience ever. Now, when I do astral travel at its highest power that I can do, it's not in a meditation, it's not in a ritual space, it's I blast some music and I go running. And why running is because it's very energetic and it pushes me into a gamma state, I'm pretty sure. And running, as opposed to other exercises, is just very, you know, it's one directional, so you can just keep upping the ante without much distractions or attention being derived elsewhere. So I go running, and me and Tiamat, I hit my most powerful astral form I have, and she hits hers. And what happens is that we are busting through every Cliffa and Sephiroth. We are kind of like in these in-between spaces where we're encountering both at the same time. And we shatter all the way from Malkuth all the way to the top. Now, what's happening, though, is that we had to break there was a resistance. Now, it was not the resistance as like the archangels. Like, it wasn't like Mikael was saying, yo, this is against the rules, I'm enforcing Jehovah's rules on you. It wasn't like that. And it wasn't like Andromeda saying, oh, you think you're hot shit, so I'm going to put you in your place kind of thing. No. It wasn't like that at all. What I described it is that the forces of those Cliffos and Sephiroths are kind of like, in a way, like planets. You know, kind of like a planet, like corresponds to the planets. But they themselves have a gravitational pull. And it was more like gravity trying to keep me down into that reality from ascending. So, now, I don't specialize in doing this. I don't specialize in, like, going up and down the tree and initiatory paths through them all. I've done it before, and I've done it to great effect, because I've helped people with HGA stuff. I've worked with Metatron, Raziel, and Cassio to, like, integrate HGAs and stuff like that. And I did it to an extent on myself, but it's not my passion, so I don't claim to be the best at it, and I don't claim to be an expert at it. I just know that this is something that I can do the way that I do it. And what did help is that I've mentioned before that her 11 monsters roughly correspond, and really 12 if you count Kingu. And Kingu is a rough primal iteration of Tetragrammaton. That's controversial to say, but in another video. Anyway, the 11 monsters correspond to like the primal aspects of each Sephiroth and Cliffa. And from what I've received in my gnosis, the power of those 11 monsters, in a way, trumps the power of their respective archangel and archdemon. Not saying that's gospel. Okay, I'm just telling you from my experience. This is the second time I've seen them overpower, those powers. So, and no disrespect to any power, okay? And no disrespect to anybody other's belief system or anybody else's gnosis. This is just what I've experienced. So, we get to the top of the trees, and the weight of Keter and Thaumael is obviously it's the hardest. And at this point in the run, I'm near blacking out, and we break through the Cliffa, and we break through the Sephiroth, whatever. And now we are like, we hit this, like, we're becoming less substance. And we go through the trans-Sephirothic, Cliffothic veils. And at this point, I'm dissolving. And she's dissolving too. And what this is going to do at the end, when we've busted through Ein Sof and Ein Sof War, we essentially become the intermixing of what was before creation. This intermixing is the, like in the Enuma Elish mentioned that Apsu or Aposon, the original divine masculine intelligence, and Tiamat intermixed, and she bore them all, meaning that she created all of existence. So, that's what happened. I essentially took the place, in a way, of Aposon with her. And there became non-existence. So, in a way, I kind of died. In a way. And I felt what non-existence was like. I kind of blacked out on the run. But now this state of non-existence, too, is what Tiamat has told me is called the numinous. This state can be done between a male and okay, look, I don't know about like all the sex stuff, but this is what she's told me, right? Maybe it can happen same-sex stuff. I don't know. But all I know is that it's like the alchemical wedding, right? But it's like it's performed through like sex magic. Like very classical, like the way she described it to me, it was like a classic orgasm with just being like how two people can do it, right? Is people experiencing sex magic orgasm without protection, very classical way, like missionary type shit, like and essentially it's like upon orgasm is like what they call the little death, but it's like truly experiencing it to its most, and essentially doing it with a soulmate in a way. It's the way that you could physically do it. So in a way, whenever you do that, you're reliving the intermixing of Tiamat and Aposon. The original intermixing of the divine masculine, divine feminine. The original alchemical wedding. So, that is what she told me. That is what I saw, and that's what I experienced through the Gnosis. And what happened was that this was cool, and I think this corresponds very well with the HGA and stuff, is that once we've pierced the veils, we essentially got spat back out. Spat back out through the veils, and then upon reaching that space between Keter and the veils, I entered in a version of my highest astral self that I perceived this like 2 years ago, what it would look like, but it was kind of like a brand spanking new like version, like ultimate, kind of like just think like the God mod of every video game or every show or something like that. And I saw her in a brand new spanking version of her highest self, and what we did is that we descended the tree together, and we were kind of like shaking all the trees, all the Sephiroth and Cliffos, all the way down till we got back to Malkuth, and that was the end of my run and my astral experience. So what it did, though, is that it got me to be brutally honest about what my true will is and my true destiny. This is something I've been working on relatively, like I kind of got the courage to say to my spirits to help align me to that true will. So like shout outs to Ixchel and Izamna and Saizen and Kukulkan and Tiamat and Kingu. Those were the ones I really went to for help on this, and they did align me to it. I think that astral experience is going to send shock waves throughout my actual tangible life. It already has, but I really want to see it because I'm fed up with not being aligned with it. I'm fed up with being distracted by the world, and I have no one else to blame but myself because I have chosen to be distracted by, just the stuff, like egotistical stuff. And I'm not saying I did anything wrong. I'm just saying, like, because if you're on your true will, it's like, are you gonna tell me like The Rock, like, is not on his true path? I think The Rock is probably, I'm not saying he's 100% on his true will, but I'm not saying he's not. I'm saying, like, successful people are going to be on their path, on their real path, on their true will. Do they have to talk to the gods? Do they have to have an HGA experience? No, they don't. But this is the way that I do it. And if you're in magic, this is going to have a similar approach to what it is. So, like, that's what I meant by my status, is that I was fed up with superficial existence. And I haven't been living a superficial life. I haven't. I still believe that getting aligned to my true path and my true will lead me to tangible monetary success. It will lead me to healthy relationships, both platonic and romantic. All of that. But I'm fed up with being distracted. I am fed up with expectations. I am fed up with trying to live up to those expectations when really the only expectations are myself. And this is something that, it takes practice at doing this. Finding your true will is something you have to be consistent about. It's not just one revelation, it's not just one massive moment. And it's not just, that's what all these books say, that's what the Kabbalion says and whatever. Dude, you gotta work for it. And this is me working for it. And it took a lot out of me today, man. But I've made some major strides. And I couldn't have done it without Tiamat. Couldn't have done it without the other deities I mentioned. So, glory be to the gods, man. So, I really hope that serves you well.